talkers and seekers, true believers. This is a brand new week after what I hope was a beautiful weekend and a refreshingly spiritual Sunday. So as we dive into this week, let's remember that the Lord said, the truth shall set you free. And finally, some brave, eloquent black women are speaking truth, and they ain't whispering. They're shouting it from panel shows, classrooms, city halls, and street corners. Watch this first clip and then come back to me.
Can I ask you something? Can you tell me how many black people work in the administration right now under Trump? I'm just asking. How many people?
I don't know, but that's like a superficial question, right?
Why, yeah, because
it's not about.
Why shouldn't? Let me just say this. Why shouldn't all races, right, be representative, like with President Biden and Kamala Harris in the administration? Why is it always white blonde women that are idiots, and straight white men? Like, why?
Well, I'm going to look at the question that she asked. She said the word truly. Truly makes it seem like it's like an absolute. I don't necessarily feel like it's an absolute, but I think he's better than the alternative when you look at everything all together. So when we look at it, it's not about, when he talks about merit, I want a job not because of the color of my skin, but because I'm capable. And nowadays, if I always need affirmative action, but yet you tell me that I'm equal, then I'm not playing on level footing. Hold on.
Okay.
So look at it like this. Prior to, let's say, affirmative action, did whites of all ages, of all economic backgrounds, did they have to compete to get into Harvard?
Yes.
Exactly. So why does a person, because of the color of their skin, get to do it? So it's not about whether or not how many are in. I want qualified people in, because what happens is when they're not qualified, you know what black people do? They just hired that idiot because he was a token. Because we know he didn't do the job right. He didn't make us look good. He didn't represent well. We don't, and there is a responsibility that the black community needs to take about whether or not we're going to measure up. Do you want somebody there just because they're black, or do you want somebody there just because they're qualified?
Yeah, but I want someone there. I was brought up, this is what my mother used to say to me, an Italian-Irish mother. My mother used to say to me, not everybody has to be your best friend, but everybody deserves to be treated equal.
I agree with that.
Of course.
Equal. And you want to know what? In the black community, the black and brown community, as a white woman, they don't get treated right. So
but who said that?
How do you know?
That's a blanket statement.
It's not. They don't get treated.
How do you
Who's
know?
they?
And how do you measure that?
What a rebuke. That sister didn't just win the debate. No, she redefined the terms. This whole culture of trophies for existence and diversity for clout, it's dying. We don't want tokens. We want talent. This woman said it plain. When you elevate someone unqualified just for optics, it's not progress. It's performative pity. And what does it do? It breeds resentment, it undermines trust, and worst of all, it puts black excellence on the same shelf as charity cases. You want representation? Start with earned seats, not gifted chairs.
They're never going to let you in the club, okay? And you, like the movie Django, you are the character of Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know the exact terminology, but not Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tommy, or you're a complete sellout.
First of all, it sounded like that was a non-black person telling me that. So as a Democrat, that sounds pretty racial and pretty divisive. Next, it's very interesting that I, again, would be called names or be compared to fictional characters because of who I choose to support. Again, these people who are calling and making these derogatory statements about me, who I choose to support, are denying the fact that, again, who are you to tell me that my personal experience is invalid? I think that that's something that a lot of Democrats need to look within, because how have you tried? Kamala Harris is in office right now and has not tried to do anything about the border, has not tried to not tax people on tips, and has not tried to do anything about our failing education system. So everything that she's promising she can do for you on day one, she could do right now, but she's not trying to. So that's something to, for some Dems to take home. So are you telling me that with all the black wealth that exists here in Atlanta, with all the black millionaires that live here in Atlanta, why in the world do 92% of APS students are illiterate? Make it make sense. And we have Democratic mayors, we have Democratic city council members, we have Democratic commissioners, and for whatever reason, 92% of the kids here cannot read. That statistic did not exist in Nevada. So again, I don't know if it was the fact that I got lucky. I can't say that, oh my God, it's the teachers that suck out here. I would never demean our educators here in Atlanta. But what we can acknowledge is the numbers, sir. And so while you want to call me not smart, please tell me what your side has done to fix the illiteracy rate that we see in our black children. Absolutely nothing. And in fact, not only have they not done anything to address the illiteracy issue, issue, but then they're further confusing your kids by telling them that men can give birth, by telling them that there's 53 genders, and that by telling them that your love for your best friend must mean that you are gay, you are a pansexual, asexual. Kids under the age of anything high school should not be thinking anything sexual, period. Sexual should not even be in their vocabulary. So for you to say that I'm not smart because I'm willing to call out all of the degeneracy that exists within our current education system only points to your lack of intelligence and your lack of initiative to actually do something in regards to saving our children and saving our schools.
All right. Let me tell you something about this woman. She didn't just clap back, she clapped forward. She took that slur, Uncle Tom, sellout, all the recycled nonsense, and lit it on fire. See, the left loves black women, as long as they're compliant. Angry in the direction they say, voting how they say, marching when they say. But the second a black woman has independent thought, they turn on her like she betrayed the family. Guess what? She didn't betray anyone. She just stopped co-signing failure. She just called out a Democrat-run city where 92% of black students can't read, but the mayor's more focused on drag shows, pronouns, and gender-neutral bathrooms than education. She said what needed to be said, loudly, and they hate her for it.
These Democrats, and I'm sorry to say this, I'm not trying to be racist, but they hate black people. These are the same people who fought to kick slavery in. These are the same people who built the KKK. The Republican Party is the party of the blacks. Blacks free, the Republican Party is the only party that the black people actually assisted in finding. If people say, oh, there was this big switch, there was never a big switch. So the same Democrats who hated black people from the beginning are the same ones who hate us now. And they use our cause. How did Black Lives Matter turn into something about LGBTQ? When blacks really don't support that. We're conservative. We're really not about that. Not only that, we don't support abortion. We're about work. But this is the black culture. Not only that, we're not about feminism. No, we're not. Black women marry their husbands and respect their husbands. That's what we are.
Oof. You felt that truth, didn't you? She came with history, receipts, and cultural clarity. We've been sold this idea that being black means being Democrat, like it's in our DNA. But that's a lie, a historical lie, a cultural hijack. She reminded everyone that it was Democrats who pushed slavery, created the KKK, and filibustered civil rights. Republicans weren't perfect, but black Americans helped found that party. And here's the kicker, she said what most won't. Black culture is naturally conservative. We believe in family, God, hard work, manhood, womanhood, and truth. And the left has been at war with all of that for decades. Well, guess what? We're remembering who we are.
So, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Look up here. Look up here. Look up here. You got a real South Shore resident of 63 years up here. Not no paid protester. Not somebody that's paid with a 501c3. You got a real, live South Shore resident at this mic. Now what you're going to do for the citizens of South Shore and the black people of Chicago, you're going to stop with all this fake black facade you're doing. You're going to stop that. Because first of all, you're going to deal with the fact that word on the street is you're a Haitian. And if that be the case, that explains a lot. But if you're not, we're going to dethrone this self-acclamation you gave yourself at that Black Caucus thing, where you say that you're the freest black man in America right now. I dare you insult black men like that. You are far cry from that. You're sitting here talking against Trump, trying to make him look this way or that way, when we right here this morning saw you misuse the police department to violate our rights as citizens. You told them that they cannot participate in getting these illegal immigrants while you sat up here and misrepresented that raid on South Shore Drive like black people was getting beat up and all that over there. You know that's a lie. I live over there, and black people over there, we kicking in and we chilling because ICE ain't looking for us. And you know they're not. They're coming to get what we asked our president to do, and that was to engage in mass deportation, to get these illegals out of our country. We are coming for them seats. Do you understand that? And while you got these people up in here acting like they pro-police, if they really was about the police, against the police, whatever the case may be, they deal with that Laquan McDonald Act so that we can get y'all up out of that seat. Yeah, you wipe your face. You wipe your face because you're probably out breaking out in the sweat. And let me tell you something. We coming for them seats. And at first, I said it to you. Then it spread it to city council. But now you're going to mess with the black people of America and American citizens by being a fraud and showing the Democratic Party by how lousy they really are. Black people in America, American citizens, y'all say it along with me. From the East Coast to the West Coast, from the North to the South. The Democratic Party, we're putting y'all on alert. All across of America. That's right. We coming for them seats.
That's right.
He needs some milk.
Now that is the sound of a reckoning. A real Chicago queen walked up to the mic. Not a Twitter activist, not a DNC plant, not a sponsored NGO puppet. A woman who has lived in South Shore for 63 years and seen all the bullshit. And she didn't come to play. She called out the mayor's fake wokeness, the media spin, the immigrant lies, the fake identity politics, the crime, the corruption, the betrayal. She reminded everyone watching that Trump, love him or hate him, at least tried to clean up the mess. And while the left was screaming about tweets and tone, her community was screaming for order. You heard her, we coming for them seats. This ain't a phase, it's a movement. Let's toss in a bonus clip for the sake of the two misunderstood intelligent men you will recognize in the video.
Forget all this systemic racism stuff. You guys want to talk about racism? How about the reign of white liberals that Malcolm X warned us about? Great Society program, woke ideology, destruction of our family. They want to play the race card all the time. Who's been in charge of black cities the last 60 years? It's not rural farmers in western Kansas or Missouri. No, instead, it's been white liberals. It's been a project of the white liberal and for the white liberal. And it's hyper-academic ideology, abstractions. You know when you walk the streets in the cities, you're like, actually, we could use more cops. You don't have to go listen to some sort of abstract thinker about police systemic racism, all that nonsense. So just be real. Talk about things that matter. In Black America, you talk about how we need a restoration of nuclear families. And ask the question, why is this the case? It's because of the reign of terror of white liberals.
Let's see what Malcolm had to say about this.
I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate.
I have to point out, though, that...
And I say that because it is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
We could point to a large number of whites who have struggled for civil rights, for equality, and have got little or nothing out of it, other than quite a few bruises.
Give me an example. The white political machines who benefit by the voting efforts of Negroes.
Okay, I'll be more specific. I would cite Herbert Hill, for example, as a kind of person who has championed Negro job rights.
The first time I met Herbert Hill personally was when they were picketing to stop the working on the Harlem Hospital in Harlem. The Negroes for 10 years had to fight the city to get an annex built on the Harlem Hospital. Because in Harlem we need a hospital more so than anything else. Our people are sick. Plus we do a lot of cutting and shooting of each other, though we profess to be nonviolent. And Herbert Hill brought his forces out and stopped the working on that site. If he was interested in black people, he would prepare a black man with the type of knowledge and understanding of the labor troubles involving black people. Those whites who really have the interest of blacks at heart, let them give some advice to some Negroes and stand on the sideline. But don't join the organization and then get at the head of it and pose as a friend of Negroes.
To every leftist watching, you did this to yourselves. You built a culture of confusion, cowardice, and contempt for tradition. You called masculinity toxic. You called faith bigotry. You called family oppression. You elevated chaos and silenced common sense. But the people, especially the black women you thought were your pawns, they're flipping the board. You can't put this awakening back in the bottle. It's over. And in 2024, 2026, 2028, and beyond, you will feel it at the ballot box, in the culture, in the streets, because now, finally, we are wide awake.
And if you really can't take it, become a hermit.